Upper Tean village lies in the Staffordshire Moorlands. The main employment has traditionally been agriculture and the weaving of linen tape. At first, weaving took place within the home, but at the beginning of the 19th century, looms were moved out of the cottages and into a huge steam-powered mill built by the firm of J&N Phillips. The introduction of synthetic fibres caused the mill to diversify, but by the late 90s, it had become redundant. In 1999, in order to preserve the character of the mill and of the adjacent main street, Staffordshire Moorlands District Council applied for a HERS grant. HERS stands for Heritage Economic Regeneration Scheme. It's money given by the government via English Heritage to ensure the life of old buildings by encouraging new uses for them. Teachers at the local school, Greatwood Community Primary, saw the debate over the future of the mill and High Street as an opportunity to introduce their pupils to citizenship issues by looking at the planning processes that shape the appearance of where they live. They decided to incorporate citizenship into their yearly whole school theme.
Post office, yeah? Anything else? Anything else? Well,
Dave Brown, then head teacher at Greatwood, explains.
The whole school themes provided a very useful vehicle for dealing with citizenship, and our whole school theme became the High Street in Tean. The children focusing on the mill, focusing on history, focusing on design, and it was an ideal vehicle.
Chris Wells teaches Year 2. She explains how she approached the whole school theme, using the mill as the central focus.
We use the QCA document, Can Buildings Speak, as a starting point. Looking at the building was like looking at a huge artefact. So it was a good opportunity initially to go down and look at the building and all the different parts. And the children actually didn't realise how huge the building was. Going up close to it, standing back, looking at the different rooftops, the brickwork. So that was our initial visit down to the village, although the children pass it every day with eyes closed, I think. On our second visit down to the village, we took our drawing boards and we stopped at various aspects of the buildings, identifying which parts were the original buildings of the mill. And they looked at all the different materials that were used, the pattern in the brickwork, the decoration around the eaves, the different kind of windows. We took pictures of the building to compare with our drawings, and then when we got back to school we looked at how the buildings changed, the different materials, the different features. The Victorians were very fancy with their brickwork and stonework around the doorways. In my mind, I'd got a class project to bring all this work together as a clay panel, and the children were going to do an individual tile each. From all our work that we'd done around the village, the children became aware of how huge this building was and how very small part of the building was actually used today. So they thought, what a waste. And because it's been such a prominent part of village life, like helping with the building of our school, for instance, the junior part of our school was built by the Phillips, and also many of the cottages around the local high street and were used with the mill workers. They realised that it was a very important building and it shouldn't lose that quality in the village. They discussed this with families because there was parts of the project that they talked about, who worked at the mill, for instance, because I'd talked about my grandparents and parents working there, so obviously they talked to theirs. And they discussed with them, would they like it to be opened again as a mill, or could they do something else with the buildings? So this developed into a literacy project where they put down, after discussion with various people and among themselves, what they would like the Tean mill to be altered into? Or actually, could they have it knocked down? Is it an eyesore now? So they got different, there was no restrictions on their ideas. So many, actually, to my surprise, wanted to retain the building but change the inside, because they thought the outside of the building was a very important historical mark and how it developed. So the children had some very surprising ideas, very creative.
The mill could be made into a swimming bath because there is no swimming bath near Tean.
The mill could be made into a cinema because there are not any in Tean. The mill could be made into a garden centre and an animal hospital.
Linda Macpherson and Steve Wilkes taught Year 6. Here, Steve explains what the aims were.
My aims for this project was obviously to increase the literacy skills of the children. We do part of Year 6's interview technique, and obviously it's a bit better if they've actually got somebody to interview as opposed to just writing it down with a make-believe person. Other aims I was looking at was design and technology. We looked at the way that the mill could be used in the future and how it had been used in the past. The first thing I wanted to do was actually get people who were involved in the mill to actually come and be interviewed by the children, and then we could take from that other questions that they wanted to ask other people, like for example councillors, a limb plant came in, local historians, people from English Heritage came in and discussed the plans, what was going to happen. Also an architect who came in who's got a lot of interest in the mill and what was going to happen in the future. So we're inviting a lot of people into the school and giving the children an opportunity to speak to them. The design part of it, the children looked at what happened in the past with it being just a mill, and then they looked at the future about what they wanted to do with the mill. So things like dance halls, obviously, skateboard parks, games places, and they actually started thinking about the fact that you can't just have all these places without people. So then children were actually thinking, well, they need some housing development in there, and what was going to happen with the mill. In the end, they decided that they wanted apartments plus houses, low rent houses. So they're actually looking at the economics of the area as well, and looking at what sort of recreational things they could have in the mill as well. We took the class down to see the mill with the local historian Noel Green, who then discussed what parts of the mill were built and when they were built. One of the most rewarding parts of the whole process was when Mike Taylor from English Heritage came in and was giving the children the lowdown on the Hares project and the scheme and what English Heritage wanted to do with all the buildings in Tean. And one of the lads, who was 11 years old, actually stood up. This wasn't part of the planned interview, and basically quite politely asked him, Mr. Taylor, you've told us all this, what are adults actually going to do about it? Well, that led on to what part the councillors and the area councils play in the local environment. And we invited Lynn Plant, one of the local councillors, to come in, and she discussed with the class about the mill and what the council wanted it to be used as. As a citizenship project, it brought in the wide range of the curriculum. Obviously, there was history involved, geography, full range of IT skills we used, maths, we did data collection, literacy, obviously, with interview techniques. We even had a bit of RE because we used the church at parts as well. Design technology. So there's not an area which citizenship will not cover.
One of the speakers who came to talk to the children was local councillor Mrs. Lynn Plant.
So I came into the school. I was asked by the headmaster to come into class 6 to talk on the village and the high street and the input of the parish council to take care of the village of Tean. The children were really enthusiastic. They asked loads and loads of questions, and the chat was a lot longer, and the session was a lot longer than 20 minutes. They were very interested in the high street and the old buildings, and specifically Tean Mill. They wanted to know what was going to happen to it, and I tried to explain what powers the parish council had got. The children thought, when I came, the children thought that the council could do things to buildings like Tean Mill. They thought, like, well, why can't the parish council buy it? Why can't the parish council turn it into the Millennium Dome. And I've tried to explain to him that the parish council don't own buildings, so they can't. And I even said, like, well, if the parish council said to your mum and dad, you've got to spend 100,000 on your house, your mum and dad would say, well, we can't afford it. Well, that's the same as Team Mill. We can't make them spend money on it. We can only encourage and assist and help. And the district council can do that, but obviously at a more powerful and higher level. The children must have gone home and chatted a lot about the talk that went on in the school, and the local vicar set up a core group, and he had a lot of people who were interested in being a part of that core group, mums, people representing different associations within the community, and local councillors were invited to go on there. And that has been really an interesting group, because it's helped and encouraged parts of Tean, again, the Team Mill, to progress and make a useful end, hopefully, to Team Mill. During our meetings of the core group, an idea was put forward to have a future search, and this took part last September, and that was absolutely amazing. All the outcome of that was fed through to different bodies. The Future Search took part over Friday, Saturday and Sunday at the school. 3 8-hour sessions, which involved, again, representatives from associations within the community, councillors and the children. And the Youth Action Group was part of it as well. The Youth Action Group came out of a lot of different meetings, possibly the talk, the Future Search, the core group, and they've set themselves up, and they came to the parish council meeting for funding for stationery so that they can get up and running. And they've come and been represented by the chairperson at parish council meetings, and more recently at a Vital Villages meeting, and we feel that the youth really are now making their feelings felt. Quite a lot of people was invited to come into the school. I was only one of them. One of the others was the conservation officer from Staffordshire Moorlands District Council, who came in to talk about conservation issues and the input that the conservation office at Staffordshire Moorlands District Council have had on Tean since it was put into that area status. I wish more schools would encourage the teachers to ask councillors to come in and even give an idea of what local councillors themselves do or the local authority does, and the different tier systems. You know, adults don't understand a parish council, a district council or a county council and what they actually control. But I think if children was educated more, we might have better politicians, but we might have more community councillors who are only having their interests in the community.
Stuff to do, yeah. Is there anybody else you can use?
We have seen how Greatwood School's citizenship project grew into one that involved the whole community. Would the teachers do it again?
I would definitely do it again. The outcomes of this is the fact that the children now understand that they have a voice, and the voice has got to be heard. They understand they are part of the political process. They've done research skills, they've done interview techniques, they've discussed with people about what is going to be happening with their future and their village. And also probably the most important thing about it is that they've actually taken ownership of the project. The fact is we started up with our aims, but as we were running through the project we found that the children were actually overcoming our aims and putting in their own aims because they wanted to know what's going to happen to their future.
Details of this and other citizenship projects, together with practical ideas and useful contacts, are contained within a new publication for teachers called Citizenship Using the Evidence of the Historic Environment. For more information, visit the English Heritage website at www.english-heritage.org.uk/education.